What if I told you Ron Weasley wrote it all down? The dragons. The betrayal. The Yule Ball disaster. Even the night Cedric died, and Voldemort returned. This isn't the Ron Weasley you think you know. This is private. Raw. Hilarious. And heartbreaking. We're diving into Ron's secret diary, straight from his 4th year at Hogwarts. Jealousy. Dragons. Dark marks. And yeah, there's a lot about food. Hit subscribe and like, grab your wand, and let's unlock the year everything changed. August 22nd, 1994. We are here. At the actual Quidditch World Cup. I still can't believe it. I've been grinning since we got off the portkey, and I think my face might be stuck like this. Dad was buzzing the whole way, kept going on about how he got the tickets from work and how amazing it is that we're all here. He's right though. This place is massive. Hundreds of tents. Magic everywhere. It's like a wizarding village just popped up out of nowhere. I saw one bloke brewing tea over a tiny dragon-shaped campfire, and another tent had a chimney with smoke puffing out little stars. Harry and Hermione were both staring at everything too. I mean, even Hermione looked impressed, and she's been acting like she's not really into Quidditch. Right. Our tent's way bigger inside than it looks from the outside. Proper beds and a stove and everything. Harry nearly fell over when he stepped in. Said it was bigger on the inside, like he'd never seen a wizard tent before. It's his first cup though, so fair enough. He gets to be amazed at everything. Not that I'm not. This is incredible. Never seen so many witches and wizards in one place before. People from all over. Different robes, accents, even the food smells different. Fred and George nicked some nosebleed nougat from their stash and tried to make Percy eat it. He's being a right git about everything, walking around like he's part of the Department of Magic Regulation or something. Keeps talking about how important it is for everything to be properly documented. I wish he'd document his own head disappearing. The twins set off some mini fireworks in our tent just to test them. Mum nearly hexed them both. Harry laughed so hard he snorted pumpkin juice out his nose. Best moment of the day, honestly. Hermione's been writing everything down like she's doing homework. She asked Dad loads of questions about how the campsite was set up. Said it's fascinating. I don't get her. We're at the Quidditch World Cup and she's interested in logistics. We met some Irish supporters who gave us shamrock badges and taught us a chant. Fred and George were already planning to sell them at double price. I'd be worried if they weren't my brothers. Actually, I'm still a bit worried. Tomorrow's the match. Ireland versus Bulgaria. Krum's playing. Actual Viktor Krum. Can't wait to see him in action. I'd bet 10 galleons Ireland wins, but Krum catches the snitch anyway. Fred says I'm mad, but he's just upset he didn't say it first. I don't think I'll be able to sleep. Too excited. Harry's already snoring though. Bet he dreams about flying. I think I'll dream about Krum scoring and Mum not shouting at us for one entire day. That'd be magic too. August 25th, 1994. Still buzzing. Still can't believe what we saw. The match was unreal. I don't even know how to write about it properly. It was like someone lit the sky on fire and then made it play Quidditch. Everything felt too big and too loud and too fast, but in the best way possible. We walked into the stadium and I swear I almost passed out. There were 100,000 seats. 100,000. And magic holding it all up. We sat up in the top box. Proper high up, but the view was perfect. Dad said it was because Ludo Bagman got us the seats. Bagman was in our box, along with a bunch of fancy ministry people, and the Malfoys too, which was about as fun as you'd expect. Draco kept sneering at everything, acting like he owned the pitch. I ignored him. Kinda hard to care about anything else when you're about to watch Ireland versus Bulgaria. The Irish team came out first. Green robes, all glittery, shamrocks raining down everywhere. Fred and George went mental. They started chanting again and nearly fell over the balcony rail. Then Bulgaria came out. And there he was. Krum. The Viktor Krum. Real live Krum, on a broom, just standing there like he didn't care that the whole world was staring at him. He looked miserable. But cool. So cool. When the match started, I thought my heart was gonna explode. The Irish chasers were absolutely brilliant. Troy, Mullet, and Moran, they flew like they were one person. The moves they pulled were insane. Fast, clever, like watching a spell fight in the air. Even Hermione gasped once. I think. She'll deny it later. Bulgaria wasn't bad either. Their beaters were vicious. I mean properly violent. I thought one bludger was gonna fly into our box. Krum didn't do much at first, just hovered like he was thinking really hard. Then, out of nowhere, he shot off after the snitch like a firebolt. I nearly fell off my seat. Everyone screamed. He caught it. He actually caught it. Even though Ireland was winning by loads, he just dived and snatched it right up. Game over. Ireland won, even though Krum caught the snitch. Fred shouted, "I told you so," about 15 times. Then George shouted, "I said it first." Then they both started dancing and knocked over the snack table. Percy muttered something about decorum and stormed off. The best part though, right after the match, the Leprechauns and Vila started fighting. Proper chaos. The Leprechauns were throwing gold everywhere, fake, of course. Fred and George found that out the hard way, and the Vila were furious. Harry nearly walked straight into the pitch trying to follow them. Bloke has no idea what to do around pretty girls. We stayed up late that night. Everyone in the tents was singing. I think I'll remember this day forever. Not just the match, the whole feeling of it. Like anything was possible. Like we were safe and the world made sense. I didn't know yet how fast all that was gonna change. August 25th, 1994, night. Everything went wrong. Fast. We were back at the tent. Still buzzing from the match. Fred and George kept pretending they were Irish chasers, flying around with pillows for broomsticks. Mum yelled at them to sit down before they broke something. She was smiling though. Everyone was. Even Percy loosened up a bit. Felt like we were all just full of light or something. Then we heard the screaming. At first I thought it was just more celebration stuff. Then we stepped outside and saw the sky. Red. Lit up with curses and flashes and people running. Real running. Not fun, not dancing. Scared. Dad told us to grab our things and move. He looked more serious than I've ever seen him. Worse than when Fred and George turned the toilet into a swamp. Worse than when Percy got that letter from Mr. Crouch. This was different. He told us to stick together and not argue. Hermione grabbed Harry's arm and wouldn't let go. Fred and George went quiet. That's how I knew it was really bad. People were screaming about Death Eaters. Real ones. We saw them in the sky. Floating figures in masks and robes. They had muggles. A family. Dangling them like puppets. Mum covered Ginny's eyes, but I saw. I wish I hadn't. The way the people twisted. Like they weren't people anymore. Dad ran off to help. Said to keep moving. We tried. But the crowd was mad. Pushing and shouting and tripping over tents and crates. We hid in the woods. Me, Harry, Hermione, and the twins. It was dark and we were panting and no one said anything. Couldn't even hear properly over the blood in my ears. Then it happened. The sky turned green. And there it was. The dark mark. Voldemort's mark. Right above the trees. A giant skull with a snake coming out its mouth. Made my stomach freeze. Harry looked like he'd been hit. Hermione was shaking. Fred said something but I didn't hear him. That mark means murder. Everyone knows that. We got separated for a bit. I think the twins ran off after someone. I stuck with Harry and Hermione. We saw Mr. Crouch yelling at a house elf. Winky. Said she'd cast it. Doesn't make sense though. Why would a house elf do that? Hermione was furious. Kept saying it wasn't fair. We didn't sleep. No one did. I sat on my bedroll and stared at the tent flap. Waiting for Dad to come back. When he did, he looked grey. Said no one died but they were still investigating. Said someone stole Harry's wand. I can't stop thinking about the Muggle family. They were just there to help, probably. Set up tents, clean the site. Then they're hanging in the air like trophies. I thought stuff like this was over. I thought it was something Mum and Dad talked about from the old days. But it's not over. It's here. It's now. And I don't know what's going to happen next. September 1st, 1994. Felt like this day would never come. After everything at the Cup, going back to Hogwarts almost felt safe. Never thought I'd say that about a place full of ghosts and man-eating plants, but yeah. I needed it. Mum was acting like we were going off to war or something. She packed enough sandwiches to feed a Quidditch team. Kept patting Harry's shoulder and muttering things about how danger finds him. Harry looked like he wanted to vanish. Can't blame him. I still catch him staring into space sometimes, like he's replaying that night in the woods. I do it too. The train ride was normal. Almost. We got our usual spot. Fred and George were going through joke ideas for their shop. One turns your hair into snakes. Hermione said it's unethical. Fred said, only if it bites. I laughed so hard I choked on a cauldron cake. Malfoy showed up, of course. Already running his mouth about filthy muggles and how the ministry's losing control. I told him to shove off. He made some comment about Harry being cursed and attracting the wrong kind of attention. I stood up. Harry didn't even blink. He just stared at him. Malfoy backed off. Weird. We got to the carriages and I actually felt something like excitement. Seeing the castle again, lights glowing, towers stretching into the clouds, it felt right. Like maybe, just maybe, we could get back to normal. Feast was brilliant. The house elves outdid themselves. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, treacle tart. I had thirds. Hermione rolled her eyes but she still passed me another roll. Even Percy looked less stiff for 5 minutes. Dumbledore did his usual welcome and then hit us with the big surprise. No Quidditch this year. Because of the Triwizard Tournament. At first I thought I misheard. No Quidditch? That's like saying no air. Fred nearly dropped his fork. George actually gasped. Everyone was whispering and groaning. But then Dumbledore started explaining the tournament. 3 big schools. Champions. Dangerous tasks. Eternal glory. Sounded mental. And brilliant. And absolutely something I would never survive. The French lot from Beauxbatons and the Durmstrang crew aren't here yet. They'll arrive in October. Hermione already started a list of potentially dangerous magical trials. I looked over her shoulder and saw the words flame-resistant robes and venom antidotes. Yeah. Totally normal school year. After the feast, we went up to the common room. Same cozy fire, same squashy armchairs. Seamus was showing off a new deck of self-shuffling exploding snap cards. Neville already got his eyebrows singed. Some things never change. I'm in my bed now. Stomach full. Feet warm. Wand on the bedside table. It's quiet. But I can't shake this weird feeling. Like something big is coming. Bigger than dragons or Death Eaters or stupid Malfoy. Guess we'll see. September 4th, 1994. Still can't get over it. No Quidditch this year. No Quidditch. Honestly, it's all anyone's talking about. First Hogsmeade weekend's barely mentioned. Everyone's walking around like someone died. George says he's in mourning. Fred wore black robes to breakfast. I think he was being dramatic, but also I kind of feel the same. We got the announcement again at breakfast today. Just in case we'd all forgotten or something. McGonagall read it off a scroll like it was some official ministry statement. No inter-house Quidditch this year due to facility changes for the Triwizard Tournament. Facility changes my left foot. They're turning the pitch into Merlin knows what and leaving us all with itchy broom hands. I was going to try out for keeper this year. Thought I had a decent chance too, now that Wood's graduated. Not that I could fill his shoes or anything. He was mad, but he was brilliant. But I'd been practicing over summer with Fred and George, and even Harry said I was getting better. Not that he says much unless it's about Voldemort or hippogriffs lately. Hermione says the tournament is far more educational than Quidditch anyway. Easy for her to say. She'd revised through an earthquake. She's been carrying around the history of the Triwizard Tournament like it's bedtime reading. Keeps popping out weird facts like, did you know the last time it was held, a champion disappeared in a cursed fog? Great. Thanks. I still don't get how only 3 people get picked. 1 from each school. Why even bother getting excited? There's rules about age and everything. You have to be 17. Harry and I are nowhere close. Fred and George are trying to find a way around it, obviously. They said something about aging potions and distraction charms. I told them if they end up with beards or hexed into fish, I'll laugh and not help. They said, noted. Malfoy strutting around like he already won the thing. Keeps saying his father's well-connected and knows people on the selection panel. Yeah, and I know what a ferret looks like in a sock drawer. Doesn't mean it's going to help him. It's weird though. Everyone's acting like it's going to be some amazing year. Like the tournament is this huge deal. And it is cool, I guess. But it's also scary. Really scary. Dumbledore didn't say it out loud, but you could tell. There was this pause before he explained the age restriction, like he was remembering something bad. Sometimes I wonder if we've had too many weird years already. First year, Philosopher's Stone. Second year, Giant Snake and Diaries. Third year, Escaped Murderer. Now this. It's like we collect disaster. Anyway, I'm going to try and sneak a fly tomorrow when no one's on the pitch. Even if they say it's off limits, it's not like I'm entering a death tournament. I just want to feel the wind a bit. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually miss Wood shouting at us. October 30th, 1994. They've arrived. The other schools. Hogwarts looks like someone set off a confetti spell and forgot to clean up. Everyone's running around in cloaks and scarves and polishing badges. Even Percy's looking proud, which is saying something, since he normally only smiles when his writing reports. The Beauxbatons lot came first. Huge blue carriage. I mean huge. Like a house with wings. Pulled by these massive winged horses that look like they eat thunder for breakfast. Hagrid was practically drooling. Said they drink only single malt whiskey. Not even joking. Then they came out. The Beauxbaton students. Floating down like they were in a perfume advert. All dressed in silvery blue, like the sky was sewn into their robes. And they all looked so, I dunno, graceful. Like even their blinking was elegant. Hermione sat up straighter when they walked by. Fred choked on a chocolate frog. Parvati and Lavender were whispering about their flawless skin. I said, they probably bathe in moonlight. Got hit with a napkin for that one. Then came Durmstrang. Their ship rose up from the lake. I mean it. Rose. Like a haunted pirate boat from one of those cursed storybooks Mum won't let Ginny read. Everyone stared. And then they stomped out of it, cloaks flying, big fur coats, massive boots. Looked like they'd been training to fight trolls barehanded. And then, Krum. Yeah. Viktor Krum. Walked right out in front. Hunched and miserable looking as ever, but still completely cool. You know that quiet kind of cool where the person looks like they hate everyone but could destroy you without trying? That. I didn't even know what to say. I just stared. Harry was like, that's Krum. Hermione looked smug, like she knew all along he'd be here. I tried not to care. Failed. Krum's here. In our school. Walking in our corridors. Eating our food. Breathing our air. George joked we should ask him for an autograph and I laughed, but also, maybe we should. There's already weirdness. The Beauxbaton students won't eat anything too spicy and the Durmstrang boys keep muttering in their own language and glaring at people. Someone tried to offer one a cauldron cake and he looked like it was poison. Dumbledore gave another big speech about unity and tradition and how proud we all should be. I clapped, but my hands felt sort of cold. Everything's changing. This isn't just a fun event anymore. It's serious. Everyone sizing each other up like we're in a war. The Goblet of Fire is being set up tomorrow. They're putting it in the entrance hall. You have to be 17 to enter. Which is a shame, because I've already got the name Ronald the Reckless picked out. I wonder who's going to enter. Bet loads will try. Fred and George are already drawing up fake moustaches and talking about enchantments. Harry says he's not entering. Hermione's giving him lectures just in case he changes his mind. Me? I don't know. I'm not brave enough to face dragons or whatever this tournament's going to throw at people. But maybe if I was chosen, maybe I'd finally be more than just the sidekick. Just a thought. I don't even know what to write. He did it. Harry's name came out of the goblet. He's the 4th champion. 4th. There's only supposed to be 3. 1 from each school. That's the rule. That's the whole point. But then it spat out another name after everything was done and it was his. Harry Potter. I was right there. We all were. The hall went silent. The goblet flared blue again and that little slip of parchment floated down. And Dumbledore read his name and everything just froze. Harry looked like someone had slapped him. He didn't move. Didn't smile. Just sat there blinking like he wasn't sure what planet he was on. And I didn't know what to think. Still don't. He got up. Walked to the front like he didn't know how his legs worked. Everyone was watching. Whispering. Then shouting. The Durmstrang lot looked furious. Krum actually frowned deeper than usual. Fleur from Beauxbatons flipped her hair and looked like she'd sucked a lemon. Even the professors were rattled. I thought, for a second, maybe it was a mistake. Some kind of spell. Then I remembered who Harry is. The boy who lived. The one who always ends up in the middle of everything. Maybe he did put his name in. Maybe he found a way. Maybe he didn't think it was a big deal. And the worst part is, he didn't even tell me. We're supposed to be best mates. We've been through everything together. Trolls. Spiders. Dementors. And this? He just goes and enters this massive, dangerous tournament without saying a word? I didn't say anything to him after. Not in the common room. Not on the way back to the dorm. I just watched him. Everyone crowded around him like he was some kind of hero. Again. Hermione looked confused but stayed close. She tried to ask me what I thought, but I told her I was tired. I'm not. I'm angry. And I feel stupid. I don't even know why I'm this upset. It's not like I wanted to enter. But it would've. NT want to talk to him. Not right now. I'm going to bed. Everyone's still buzzing. Still shouting. Still celebrating him. But I'm done. November 10th, 1994. Still not talking to Harry. And no, I don't care if that makes me petty or dramatic or emotionally stunted, as Hermione so kindly put it yesterday when she was trying to play peacekeeper. She doesn't get it. Not really. Not like I do. He lied. That's what it feels like. Like he snuck off and did something massive behind my back, knowing how dangerous it is, knowing how everyone else would react, and he didn't even tell me. Not a word. Not even a hint. And I'm supposed to just sit there and clap like I'm his biggest fan? No thanks. He keeps acting like he didn't put his name in. Keeps saying it wasn't him. Dumbledore believes him. Well, sort of. Hard to tell. McGonagall's got her tight-lipped face on. Snape looks like Christmas came early. The whole school's split. Half of them are treating Harry like some kind of rebel genius. The other half reckon he cheated. And then there's me. Just stuck in the middle. Watching my best mate get all the attention again. Everyone wants to sit by him. Everyone wants to hear what he's going to do. What spell he's practicing. What wand he's using. Even Cedric's got that weird quiet politeness going, like he doesn't want to make Harry angry or something. And Harry? He's just going along with it. Shrugging. Looking lost sometimes, yeah, but not enough. He hasn't come to talk to me. Not once. I keep waiting. I keep thinking maybe he'll walk up and say, "Look, Ron, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry." But he doesn't. He just walks past me like I'm part of the furniture. We're sharing a dorm and we might as well be in different castles. He says hi to Neville. Laughs with Dean. Then goes off to train or prepares or whatever. He used to tell me everything. Now it's all hush-hush. All moody silence and mysterious glances. I tried to sit somewhere else in the Great Hall, but it's not like Gryffindor's that big. The space between us feels massive though. I eat without talking. Pretend I'm studying when really I'm just drawing angry little dragons on the corner of my parchment. Fred and George noticed. Asked if we had a row. I said no. Not really. Just different now. They nodded like they understood. George gave me half his treacle tart without saying anything. That meant more than I'll ever admit out loud. Hermione's stuck in the middle. I can tell it's driving her mad. She keeps trying to drag us into conversations at the same time, like if she says enough words we'll just start replying to each other. It's not working. She snapped at both of us in the library yesterday and told us we were being immature and selfish. Then she marched off in a huff. Not sure if she meant Harry or me or both. Probably both. I miss him. That's the truth. I miss having someone to talk to in class. I miss laughing at Snape's weird robes or swapping notes during History of Magic. I even miss the way he always acts like he doesn't know he's famous. But I can't give in. Not yet. Not when it still hurts like this. Maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe he didn't put his name in. But he didn't trust me enough to say so. And that's worse. This silence is awful. But talking right now would be worse. So I'm not talking to him. Not today. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not ever. November 24th, 1994. Everything changed today. I saw him face a dragon. An actual, fire-breathing, winged monster. Not in a book. Not in one of Hagrid's lessons where it's behind a fence and half asleep. No, this one was real. And angry. And huge. And Harry went up against it with nothing but his wand and that stupid messy hair and his jumper riding up on one side because he never tucks it in properly. And he did it. I didn't know what to think when I woke up this morning. I wasn't talking to him. Still. Not properly. We'd exchanged a few awkward nods, some grunts about toast and homework. But it wasn't the same. Not even close. I was trying to act normal. Hermione kept giving me this look like I was personally responsible for the war between good and evil. Seamus was betting on who'd win the task. Someone said Hope Potter's broom catches fire and I nearly hexed them. Didn't even stop to think. Just felt my wand in my hand before Hermione elbowed me in the ribs. We weren't allowed to watch the task at first. They said it was too dangerous. Which, yeah, makes sense, considering they were throwing kids at dragons. But McGonagall led us to the stands near the edge of the enclosure, said we could observe at a safe distance. That distance felt like about 10 inches. The other champions went first. I couldn't see much, lots of smoke and spells flying. Krum used conjunctivitis curse, I think. Cedric got burned a bit, but he got the egg. Fleur got knocked down. Her skirt caught fire. She was fine, but it looked rough. Then it was Harry's turn. Everything went quiet when they called his name. You could feel the silence stretch across the field like someone had cast a freezing charm. He walked out alone. So small. The dragon was a horntail. Hungarian. Worst one. Spiked tail like a mace and eyes like molten coins. He summoned his broom. A Keo firebolt. Fast. Clean. We all heard it. Then it came flying over the trees, and I swear everyone held their breath. He took off. Just like that. Into the sky. Dodging the dragon's fire like it was just another match. Swerving, ducking, feinting, I've never seen anyone fly like that. Not even Krum. Not even in the World Cup. It wasn't about being fancy. It was about surviving. The dragon chased him. Real fire. Real claws. Harry led it away from the nest, looping back over and over again, distracting it. And then, just when we thought it would bite his head off, he dived straight down. The dragon followed. I thought he was going to smash into the ground. And then, he pulled up. Tight, fast, right past the dragon's flank. Grabbed the golden egg mid-dive. And it was over. He landed rough, skidded across the grass, and got up brushing dirt off his knees like he'd tripped in the hallway. Everyone went mental. Screaming, cheering, clapping. Hermione burst into tears. I didn't even realize I was standing until my legs went shaky. And I knew. I was wrong. I was so wrong. He hadn't put his name in. He didn't want this. He was scared, really scared, and he did it anyway. For us. For Hogwarts. For everyone. He came back to the tent and I couldn't even look at him at first. Then I blurted something like, "That was bloody brilliant," and he gave me this crooked smile and said, "You reckon?" And just like that, it was us again. I told him I was sorry. I didn't say it right, but he got it. He always does. He asked what the others were saying. I said Rita Skeeter's probably writing about how he's secretly a half-dragon. He laughed. Hermione joined in. We sat there, bruised and sweaty and exhausted. But together. The way it's supposed to be. December 3rd, 1994. It's all anyone talks about. The tournament. The first task. How Harry cheated death. How he's famous again. Like he ever stopped being famous. Don't get me wrong. I'm not mad anymore. Not at Harry, anyway. What he did, the way he flew against that horntail, it was mental. Brilliant. Braver than I'll ever be. I keep replaying it in my head. But that doesn't mean I want to talk about it every second of the day. Because that's all it is now. Everywhere we go, people stare at him. Hufflepuffs mutter under their breath. Some Ravenclaws pretend they're being friendly, but I can hear it in their voices. They think he's got some trick up his sleeve. Even in Gryffindor Tower, it's like Harry's not Harry anymore. He's the champion. They want to sit by him. Watch him eat. Ask him what he's planning next. I was halfway through a sandwich yesterday when someone shoved me aside to get closer to him. I nearly choked on my ham and mustard. Hermione says it's just how people are. That they're curious and awed. I think it's rubbish. No one cared this much when Cedric won the school dueling tournament last year. Or when Angelina caught the snitch in that match against Slytherin. But Harry? He breathes and the whole school wants an autograph. And he's trying, I can tell. He hates the attention. He shrinks up every time someone asks about his broom or the egg or what Dumbledore's told him. He keeps saying he doesn't know what's next, and I believe him. But that just makes people more obsessed. Like they think he's lying. Like he's holding back some brilliant plan to win the whole thing and explode into fireworks or something. And then there's Krum. He's everywhere. Creeping around the library like it's his personal hunting ground. Hermione says he's probably just looking for peace and quiet. But he's always hovering, always right near her table. Reading over her shoulder. Asking questions in that slow way like he's trying not to scare her off. It's weird. I asked Hermione about it and she said I was being childish. That I should be happy for Harry and stop being jealous of everything that moves. I didn't even say anything about Harry. Which means she's definitely noticed Krum noticing her. Which makes me want to throw a book through a window. I didn't though. Just scowled into my homework and pretended I was doing my potions essay. I wasn't. I was just writing stupid Viktor over and over on the edge of the parchment. We've still got a few weeks until the Yule Ball. McGonagall made the announcement last night at dinner. Said every student in 4th year and above is expected to attend. Expected? Like it's detention or something. I looked over at Harry and he looked like he'd swallowed a bludger. We're supposed to bring a date. A date? Me. Ron Weasley. Who can barely talk to girls unless they're telling me off or asking to borrow a quill. Harry didn't look much better. I think we're both doomed. He said maybe we could just go with someone we already know. Like Hermione. I said, right, and she's not going to get asked by someone like Krum. And then we both went quiet for a bit. Anyway, everyone's watching Harry. Waiting for him to say something amazing. Or explode. Or sprout wings. And I'm just trying to finish my toast without someone asking what he eats for breakfast. It's exhausting. I miss last year. When things were simple. When our biggest problem was getting past the fat lady when she changed the password. Now it's dragons and balls and people acting like we're famous too just because we sit next to him. I'm proud of Harry. Really. I am. I just want to be someone other than Harry Potter's mate sometimes. Is that awful? December 12th, 1994. There's going to be a ball. A ball? Like dancing and music and dress robes and all that awkward formal stuff Mum loves and I absolutely do not. McGonagall told us after Transfiguration. We were just packing up our books when she stood up and said, "May I have your attention, please?" Which usually means she's about to give someone detention. But no. This time it was worse. She said the Yule Ball is a traditional part of the Triwizard Tournament and that students in 4th year and above are expected to attend. Expected was said with that look of hers that means, you will do this or you'll regret it. Harry looked at me like she'd announced a funeral. I think I made a noise. Sort of a croak. Then she added the part that really sunk the ship. Champions are required to open the dance. In front of everyone. Harry went pale. He stammered something like, dancing? Me. And she said, yes, Mr. Potter, dancing. It is customary. Then she walked off like she hadn't just sentenced him to death. The worst part? We have to bring dates. Dates. Girls. Talking. Asking. Dancing with. How are we supposed to do that? Just walk up and ask someone? What if she laughs? What if she says yes and then changes her mind and tells everyone? What if she says yes and I forget how to use my legs? Fred and George already have some kind of plan. Of course they do. Fred winked at Angelina and said, "You're going with me, right?" And she said, "Yeah, all right," like it was no big deal. George nearly choked on his tea. Said Fred stole his idea. They started arguing over who asked who first and then made a bet on which of them would step on her feet more. I asked Hermione if she was going with anyone. She said it was none of my business and went back to her arithmancy chart. Which means yes. Probably. She's too smug lately. I bet someone's already asked her. Someone tall. Harry said maybe we could just go together, the three of us. I laughed. He didn't. Poor bloke's actually serious. He's got to lead the first dance in front of all the judges, all the guests, Krum, Malfoy, the entire school. He's dead. I'm dead too, honestly. I've been practicing ways to ask a girl without looking like a complete troll. So far I've got, "Hi, do you want a maybe, and you're not busy on Christmas, right, and please say yes," I'll give you half my chocolate frog collection. It's not going well. Even Seamus has a date. Lavender Brown said yes before he finished asking. Dean's going with someone from Ravenclaw. Neville says he's asking Ginny. I told him good luck and that he'd have to talk to Mum first. He went green. We've still got a few days, but it's everywhere. Even the suits of armor are humming dance tunes. The fat lady and her friend Violet won't stop talking about gowns and who's wearing what. The common room's a nightmare. I wish I could just vanish under my bed and wake up after it's all over. I'm not good at this stuff. I'm not smooth. I'm not brave with feelings. Give me a chessboard and I'll win every time. But this? Asking a girl to a ball? I'd rather face the Horntail. December 22nd, 1994. I finally have a date. Parvati Patil. She said yes. Barely. And not exactly with enthusiasm. But it counts. The last few days have been absolute hell. I've never been more stressed in my life, and I fought a giant chessboard, nearly been eaten by a three-headed dog, and got tangled up in a mass of spiders that could talk. Asking someone to the Yule Ball? Somehow worse. Every time I tried, my mouth dried up like a shriveled toad. I'd spot someone in the hallway and think, okay, just say it, Ron, just ask. And then I'd get close and suddenly I'd forget how to make words. I asked Eloise mid-gen. She laughed. Said she was going with someone from Durmstrang. Pretty sure she made it up on the spot. I asked a third year who looked taller than me from behind. She turned around and said, "You know I'm 12, right?" I wanted to throw myself into the lake. Meanwhile, Harry wasn't doing much better. He kept muttering about Cho Chang. Wouldn't stop talking about her smile or her laugh or how she tucks her hair behind her ear like it's a blooming Shakespeare sonnet. I told him he should just ask her before someone else does. He said, "Yeah, maybe tomorrow." Which is Harry speak for not happening. Spoiler, someone else did ask her. Cedric Diggory. Of course. Harry looked crushed. Didn't say much the rest of the day. Just stared into his soup like it had personally betrayed him. So there we were. 2 pathetic fourth years with no dates and a clock ticking down like a bomb. The ball's on Christmas and it was already the 22nd. McGonagall said if we didn't have a date soon, she'd find us one. I don't even want to know what that means. Then Hermione said, very loudly, that we'd left it too late and we'd better just go together if we can't grow a spine. She looked right at me when she said it. I said, "I have a spine." She said, "Prove it then." And stormed off. I was fuming. Harry and I sat there in the common room like 2 sad lumps of uselessness. Fred and George walked by doing a fake dance and singing "Nobody Wants You" in matching high-pitched voices. I threw a cushion at them. It missed. Then I had a thought. A very last-minute, desperate thought. I got up and marched straight across the common room where Parvati was reading something with Lavender. She looked up. I said, very fast, "Would you like to go to the ball with me?" She blinked. What? So I repeated it, slower this time. "Would you like to go to the ball with me?" She looked at Lavender. Lavender raised her eyebrows. Then Parvati said, "Okay." Just like that. Okay. Like I'd asked her to pass the butter. Then she added, "If Padma doesn't have a date, maybe she could go with Harry." I said, "Brilliant, yes, great," even though I hadn't asked Harry if he wanted to go with Padma. But whatever. Crisis averted. When I told Harry, he looked stunned but also like he was about to cry from relief. "That works," he said. And we just sat there in complete silence for a full minute. I think we were both too tired from the stress to speak. Later that night, I saw Hermione walking out of the library. I said, "I've got a date." She said, "So do I." Then she smirked and walked off before I could say anything else. Now I'm lying in bed, wide awake, thinking about everything. I've got a date. I've got dress robes. Sort of. They were great Aunt Tess's, and they smell like attic and look like curtains, but I don't care anymore. I've got a date. Harry's got a date. We'll survive this. Probably. Unless I trip while dancing. Or spill pumpkin juice on Parvati's shoes. Or forget how to breathe in front of everyone. That's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Please Merlin, let it be fine. December 25th, 1994. I don't even know where to start. Tonight was a nightmare wrapped in glitter and bad music. First of all, the dress robes. Mum said they were perfectly fine when she sent them. A little vintage. No, Mum. Not vintage. Ancient. They had lace frills down to my knees. Green and maroon swirls. Sleeves so puffy I could have floated away if someone opened a window. Fred said I looked like a dead sofa. George said I looked like I lost a fight with a Christmas cracker. I tried to fix them with a few severing charms. Snipped the sleeves. Tore the collar. It didn't help. Still looked like I was off to audition for the Wizard of Oz. Harry wasn't much better off. His robes were decent, but he looked like he was going to be sick from nerves. Padma and Parvati were already downstairs when we got to the common room. They looked amazing. Gold and turquoise. Shiny shoes. And they were clearly not impressed by how long we took or how much we mumbled. Padma barely said a word to Harry the whole walk down. Parvati smiled at me, sort of, but it was the kind of smile you give a lost Kneasel. Not a great start. The Great Hall was unrecognizable. Frosted ceilings. Ice sculptures that refilled goblets on their own. Floating candles that twinkled instead of flickering. It was honestly beautiful. Until we got to our table. That's when I saw Hermione. I didn't recognize her at first. She came down the stairs and, I mean, bloody hell. Her hair wasn't bushy. It was shiny. Soft. Floating around her shoulders like it had been hexed by fairies. And she was wearing this periwinkle blue dress, all fitted and neat, and she was smiling. On Krum's arm. Viktor blinking Krum. I froze. I think Harry dropped his fork. Everyone turned to stare. She walked past us like she didn't notice. But she did. She knew we were watching. She wanted us to see. I didn't eat a thing. Just sat there feeling like someone poured freezing water down my back. The dancing started. I did the bare minimum. Moved my feet around with Pa. Entrances, but she was laughing. Flicking her hair. Smiling like she forgot we existed. Harry tried to say something to her. She brushed him off. Said she was busy. Busy being admired by an international Quidditch star, apparently. I couldn't help it. I snapped. I said, "You're fraternizing with the enemy," and she turned on me so fast I nearly fell backward. She shouted. In the middle of the floor. Said I was impossible, that I never notice anything, that maybe if I actually asked her first instead of treating her like one of the lads, she wouldn't have come with someone else. Then she left. Stomped off in those shiny shoes like she was walking out of a courtroom. I stood there, red-faced and too stunned to speak. Harry mumbled something like, "I think she liked you coming after her," Actually, I nearly hexed him. Not really, but kind of. Parvati came back and asked if I wanted to dance. I said no. She left with a Slytherin. I sat by the wall for the rest of the night, picking at the lace on my stupid sleeves. The music got louder. The couple spun and twirled. Krum never left Hermione's side. I've never felt so useless in my life. Now I'm back in bed. My feet ache. My face still burns. And my heart feels like it got sat on by a troll. I don't understand girls. I don't understand Hermione. I don't understand me. Worst Christmas ever. January 5th, 1995. I give up. Officially. I'm done trying to figure them out. Girls, I mean. They're mad. Every single one of them. I haven't spoken to Hermione properly since the ball. She's barely looked at me. Walks past like I'm made of mist. Still talks to Harry. Still studies in the common room. But if I sit near her, she gets up. If I ask her something, she gives one-word answers. If I sneeze, she acts like I offended her ancestors. And I don't even know what I did. Okay, yes, I might have said a few stupid things about Krum. And yes, maybe I should have asked her to the ball first. But how was I supposed to know she wanted me to? She never said anything. She just rolled her eyes when I made a joke or shoved a book in my face when I tried to talk about Quidditch. Then Krum swoops in, all brooding and silent and mysterious, and suddenly he's her date and I'm the idiot in frilly green robes. She's still writing letters to him, I think. I saw her at breakfast with that handwriting she uses when she's being extra neat. Folded it all careful. Tucked it into her bag. Harry said, "Don't be weird," when I stared too long. Easy for him to say. He's not the one who got yelled at in front of half the school and then ignored for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Parvati won't even look at me. I think I might be her least favorite human now. She told Lavender I was hopeless and rude and that I spent the entire night sulking. Which, okay, fair. But it's not like I meant to. I just couldn't stop thinking about Hermione. And that's the problem. I don't know why I care so much. She drives me mad. She's bossy. She's always right. She can make you feel like a flobberworm with just one look. But then she laughs, and I forget what I was annoyed about. And when she's not there, it's like there's a weird quiet, even if the room's loud. And when she's with someone else, like Krum, I want to break something. I don't get it. I don't like feeling like this. I'd rather face a blast-ended Scroot than talk about feelings. At least a Scroot's honest. It explodes. You know where you stand. I miss the days when we were just friends. When it was the three of us, solving puzzles and sneaking around and fighting trolls. No stupid fancy dresses. No dances. No broody Bulgarian Quidditch stars. Just us. I wish I could go back. February 24th, 1995. I just spent an hour drying lake water out of my ears and I still feel like I've been hit by a herd of stampeding merpeople. Today was the second task. And somehow I was in it. I woke up thinking it was going to be just another day of watching Harry nearly die while I sat in the stands pretending not to be terrified. But no, turns out I was part of the bloody task. Me. Dragged to the bottom of the Black Lake by a bunch of grim-looking merpeople, tied to a rock, completely unconscious while my best mate fought off Grindylows and braved the deep just to save me. Apparently I was something he'd miss the most. That's what Dumbledore said. Each champion had to retrieve something dear to them. And mine was Harry's. I don't know what to do with that. I really don't. But let me start from the beginning. This whole week has been madness. Harry's been in a right state. Couldn't figure out what the golden egg was trying to tell him. The screeching noise it made, I still hear it in my nightmares, turned out to be Mermish. Which is mental. Who even speaks Mermish? Besides, like, actual merpeople? Hermione figured it out. Obviously. She's the one who told him he should listen to it underwater. She's also the one who gave him that massive book on magical underwater flora that nearly took out his foot when it fell off the table. But he still had no clue what he was going to do once he got in the lake. Then yesterday, Dobby shows up. Dobby the house elf. Wearing 20 mismatched socks and shouting about gillyweed. Says Harry has to eat it, and he'll be able to breathe underwater. We didn't know if it would actually work. But it was that or drown, so Harry went for it. This morning, the whole school crowded around the lake. Freezing cold. McGonagall made us wear scarves even though the wind was basically slicing our faces off. Bagman had a magically amplified voice that made everything worse. The champions are ready, he shouted like we were at a fairground. I saw Harry take the gillyweed. He looked miserable. Then he dived in. The minutes ticked by. 15. 20. I couldn't breathe. Then. Everything's fuzzy from here, but I guess at the same time, underwater, I was already there. Hermione told me later that the champions arrived at an underwater village, and we were tied up, me, Hermione, Cho, and Fleur's little sister, Gabrielle. I was just floating there like a prize turnip, no clue what was going on. Harry showed up with gills. Actual gills. On his neck. He cut me free first, even though he could only take one of us. But then he refused to leave the others. Stood guard like some kind of underwater knight until the others came back. Wouldn't leave Fleur's sister behind. That's Harry. Always trying to save everyone. He dragged me to the surface like a sack of potatoes. Spluttering. Shivering. My brain still full of water and seaweed. I must have looked ridiculous. But he didn't laugh. Dumbledore gave him extra points for moral fiber. Karkaroff looked ready to explode. I didn't say anything at first. Just sat there, wrapped in a blanket, drinking hot chocolate and trying to remember how to blink. Then I said, "You didn't have to do that. The others were fine." He looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "Course I did," he said. And that's when it really hit me. He picked me. Out of everyone. Out of everything. He picked me as the thing he'd miss most. Not his broom. Not his invisibility cloak. Not Hedwig. Me. I don't know how to say what that means. All I could do was sit next to him and feel like maybe, just maybe, I mattered. I've spent so much time being angry or jealous or just tired of living in his shadow. But the truth is, I've always been standing next to someone who'd dive into a lake full of monsters for me without a second thought. And that's something. I still hate lakes now, though. And seaweed. And that weird popping noise my ears keep making. But I think I'm going to be all right. March 5th, 1995. He's everywhere. Krum. In the library. In the corridors. In the Great Hall. Always with that broody, silent face like he's thinking deep thoughts. Or maybe just trying to remember how to blink. I don't know. But he's always there. And now he's always with Hermione. I don't get it. 1 minute, she's talking about arithmancy and chewing me out for not doing my homework. Next minute, she's disappearing for research and coming back looking all flushed and smug, like she just solved an ancient riddle. Except she didn't. She was with him. He's even started saying her name. Properly. Not like Hermione. No, now it's all slow and soft like he's savoring it. Hermione. Makes my stomach twist every time. And Hermione's not helping. She's acting like it's no big deal. He just wanted help with his English, she says. He's really quite intelligent. Right. So intelligent he hasn't spoken a full sentence since he got here unless it's to her. I saw them sitting together in the library this morning. Not even talking. Just sitting there, reading in silence like they're in some romantic painting. She looked up, smiled at something he didn't say, and went back to her book. I dropped a stack of parchment on purpose. Loudly. They didn't even blink. I know I shouldn't care. I know it's not my business. She can be friends with whoever she wants. But it's like every time I see them together, something inside me itches. Like I'm losing something and I don't even know what it is. Harry tried to change the subject when I brought it up. Said Krum's not that bad. Said he probably just likes her. Said maybe I'm just jealous. Well, yeah, I am. Not just of Krum, either. I'm jealous of how she talks to him. How she laughs. How she looks at him like he's made of something important. She used to look at us like that. Like we mattered. I miss her. And I hate that I miss her while she's off being admired by the biggest name in Quidditch. She still talks to me. Still helps me with homework. Still nags me about my tie being crooked. But it's different now. There's something between us, this awkward gap neither of us knows how to cross. Sometimes I think about saying something. Just asking her straight out, do you like him, or why didn't you wait for me to ask you to the ball? But I don't. Because what if she says yes? What if she didn't wait for me? What if I'm too late? I hate this feeling. I'd rather face another dragon. At least then you know where you stand. Dragons breathe fire. Krum just exists and makes me want to throw a textbook at his head. This year's a mess. And I don't know how to fix it. March 15th, 1995. I've said it before and I'll say it again, Snape is the absolute worst. Today in potions, he gave Harry a 0. A 0. Just for not slicing the shrivel fig the way he wanted. Harry was doing it right. I was watching. But Snape walked over, sniffed once, and went, pathetic work, Potter, then vanished it right off the table. Harry didn't even argue. Just clenched his jaw and stared straight ahead like he was trying not to explode. I, on the other hand, did argue. I said, that's not fair, and Snape gave me detention. Just like that. Didn't even look up from his notes. Hermione kicked me under the table and whispered, don't make it worse, but it's already worse. Every time we go into that dungeon, it's like walking into a cold, greasy nightmare full of bitter smells and even worse moods. And it's only Harry he treats like this. Well, Harry and Neville. And me, sometimes, when I open my mouth. But mostly Harry. Like his still mad Harry exists. I don't get it. You'd think a grown wizard with a job and a cauldron collection would have moved on from whatever grudge he's got. But no. He stalks around like a bat, picking on Harry like it's his favorite hobby. You should have seen him when Harry did well in the first task. He scowled so hard his face looked like it might fold in on itself. And when Harry got those points for moral fiber in the second task, Snape acted like someone insulted his potion shelf. I heard him muttering to Karkaroff after class today. Quiet, but not quiet enough. Something about signs growing clearer. Karkaroff looked twitchy, kept pulling at his collar. Weirdest part? Snape looked worried. Not angry. Not smug. Worried. Which, honestly, might be scarier. Something's up with those two. Hermione says we shouldn't spy on professors. I say, if they're up to something sketchy in the dungeons, we absolutely should. Anyway, I'm stuck scrubbing cauldrons tomorrow night thanks to him. No magic allowed, of course. Just me, a brush, and a stink that could knock out a troll. At least I'll get out of astronomy revision. And yes, I know I should have kept my mouth shut. But how am I supposed to sit there and let Snape treat Harry like dirt? He doesn't deserve it. Not after everything he's been through. Not when he's trying so hard. Snape's a GIT. Always has been. Always will be. I just wish Dumbledore would notice. April 7th, 1995. I can't feel my brain. I think it's gone. Just packed up and left. Probably hiding under the couch in the common room, curled up next to a dusty chocolate frog wrapper. We've got so many exams coming up. OWL prep has officially begun, even though ours aren't until next year. That hasn't stopped the professors from acting like if we don't memorize every single fact about goblin rebellions and potion antidotes right now, we'll drop dead on the spot. McGonagall handed out a study schedule. A schedule. For the whole term. Color-coded. With time slots. I looked at it and felt my soul leave my body. Hermione, of course, has already made a better version. Hers has tabs and moving checklists that sort themselves. It's terrifying. She gave Harry and me copies. Harry said thank you. I cried a little. Every night it's the same. Common room full of groaning fourth years. Books everywhere. Ink-stained hands. Dean's been chewing his quill. Seamus keeps falling asleep with his head in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I think the cover bit him last night. Even the twins are studying. The twins. Not well, obviously. They're mostly inventing new joke spells and pretending it's experimental transfiguration, but still. They have books open. I tried revising last night and ended up staring at a paragraph about Moonstone for 20 minutes without absorbing a single word. I'm still not sure if it's used in love potions or stomach remedies. Probably both. Or neither. Who cares? I'm going to fail. We had a charms quiz this morning and I wrote luminosity instead of lumos. That's not even a word. Then we had history of magic and I swear Binns is trying to destroy us. He just droned on and on about goblin uprisings while I slowly lost the will to live. I doodled a sword-fighting Cornish pixie in the margin to stay awake. Hermione confiscated my quill and made me copy the notes instead. I haven't had a decent meal in days. The second I sit down in the Great Hall, someone's asking if I've finished the herbology review sheet or whether the croup has a forked tail or not. It does. I think. Maybe. Hermione said I need to prioritize focus and self-discipline. I said I need a nap and 6 treacle tarts. I'm so tired. All the time. My eyes feel like they've been hexed. I woke up this morning and couldn't remember which day it was. Nearly went to divination in my slippers. And I'm not even the worst off. Neville had a full-blown panic attack when Sprout mentioned an extra assignment. He dropped his entire bag and 3 of his plants ran away. I'm going to explode. Or cry. Or both. Exams are months away. But if this is what preparing feels like, I'll be a puddle of red hair and ink stains by May. If anyone needs me, I'll be under my bed, rereading Quidditch Through the Ages and pretending life makes sense. May 10th, 1995. It's getting close. The last task. You can feel it in the air, thick, heavy, like the whole school's holding its breath. They've built a maze on the Quidditch pitch. A maze. I saw it from one of the towers. Massive, green walls stretching way up. You can't even see over them. Just this sea of hedges, rustling even when there's no wind. They say it's full of magical obstacles. No one knows what exactly. Creatures. Spells. Traps. Probably things that make you forget your name or grow extra legs. I'm guessing a boggart or two. Maybe even a blast-ended Scroot, knowing Hagrid. Harry's pretending he's not scared, but I can tell he is. He keeps messing with his quill, biting it until the feathers fall out. When I asked if he was okay, he said, "Yeah, just thinking." Then stared at the table like it was about to give him answers. I hate this. Watching him get dragged through another one of these without being able to help. First dragons. Then the lake. Now a bloody maze full of Merlin knows what. And he's still got to face it alone. The worst part? We can't do anything. Just wait. Dumbledore told us no one but the champions can go in. He looked serious. Really serious. The kind of serious that makes your stomach twist. Hermione's practically living in the library again. Trying to find any information she can. We can't let him go in blind, she said. We can at least prepare him. She's got books stacked so high I think one fell on her yesterday and she didn't even notice. I've been staying with Harry more. Even when we're not talking much, it feels better just to be nearby. To let him know he's not on his own. We play wizard chess. Badly. He keeps zoning out and I keep letting him win on accident. Fred and George said they're going to start selling I survived the Triwizard Tournament badges, even though the last task hasn't happened yet. George said they'll add a ghost version if anyone dies. Fred hit him for that. Even the teachers are weird. Moody's been dragging Harry into his office for extra lessons. Snape keeps sneering more than usual. Trelawney said something about great darkness surrounding the maze. Classic. Cedric's still being decent. He and Harry talked the other day. About the egg. About the clue. There's a sort of quiet between them now, not quite friends, not quite rivals. Like two people standing at the edge of something huge and knowing it's too late to step back. Me? I feel useless. Again. Like I'm standing behind a glass wall, watching everything happen while I hold someone's coat. I keep thinking about the first year, when it was the three of us going through traps and riddles and monsters. We were terrified then too. But we had each other. Now Harry's walking into that maze with nothing but his wand and whatever Dumbledore's not telling him. I'm scared. I don't care if that sounds stupid. I am. Something about this whole thing feels wrong. Off. Like it's not just a tournament anymore. Like there's something darker creeping behind the hedges. I just hope he comes back. June 24th, 1995. I can't stop shaking. Something's happened. Something bad. Worse than anything I've ever seen. Worse than the chamber. Worse than the forest. Worse than anything we've lived through before. Cedric Diggory is dead. He's dead. It was supposed to be a game. A tournament. Something dangerous, yeah, but controlled. Something that ended with applause and trophies, not someone lying still on the grass like they just stopped. Harry came back holding his body. They'd both touched the cup, we saw them from the stands. The maze lit up and then, boom, they were gone. Just like that. We thought they'd won together. We thought that was the end. Then minutes passed. Then longer. Everyone started murmuring. Dumbledore looked pale. Moody walked off in a hurry. And then the cup came back. Or Harry did. With it. He was crying. Screaming. Holding Cedric like he didn't want to let go. Covered in dirt. Cut up. H. Do you hear people gasp? Some stepped back. Others just stood there. Then chaos. Teachers pulling students away. Dumbledore shouting orders. Fleur was sobbing. Krum looked lost. Bagman vanished. Hermione grabbed my arm and wouldn't let go. I think she was crying. I don't remember. I don't remember much after that. We're all back in the castle now. Safe, supposedly. Locked in our common room while the professors deal with whatever this is. But I don't feel safe. I keep seeing Harry's face. The way he held Cedric. The way his voice cracked when he said his back. Like the words tasted like blood. Something's changed. Something's shattered. I feel sick. And scared. And I don't know what happens next. June 25, 1995. We finally know what happened. Harry told us everything. We're in the hospital wing now. Him in one bed. Me and Hermione sitting close. Madame Pomfrey tried to kick us out 3 times, but Dumbledore said we could stay. I don't think Harry would have said anything if we weren't there. He didn't look like he wanted to speak. But he did. Quiet. Halting. Like each word weighed 1,000 stones. The cup was a portkey. It took them, him and Cedric, straight to a graveyard. Somewhere old. Somewhere dark. That's where he was. Voldemort. I still can't write it properly. I keep wanting to scratch out the name. My hand shakes when I do. But that's what Harry said. Voldemort was there. Waiting. They killed Cedric. Just like that. No warning. No chance. Just a flash of green and he was gone. Harry watched him die. Then they tied him up. Used his blood. Used his blood in some horrible, sick ritual to bring Voldemort back. His full body. Not just a shade. Not a memory. Not something living in someone's head. He's alive again. He dueled Harry. Tried to make him bow. Taunted him. Laughed while his Death Eaters stood around watching like it was some performance. And then Harry, I don't even know how. He grabbed the portkey and Cedric's body and brought them back. He carried Cedric out of that place. Out of that graveyard. Back to his family. Harry's asleep now. Not peacefully. He twitches every few minutes. Mumbles things under his breath. I want to protect him. Wrap him in blankets and make everything okay. But how do you fix this? How do you undo what's been done? Hermione hasn't spoken since he finished. She's just sitting next to him, holding the edge of his blanket like it's a lifeline. Dumbledore looked old. He listened to every word and didn't interrupt once. Then he stood and left. Said he had work to do. I think he's going to fight. Or warn people. Or something. But the minister, fudge, he doesn't believe it. I overheard him outside. Said Harry was confused. Traumatized. That you-know-who can't possibly be back. Like he wasn't just told the truth by the only person who was there. Coward. Cedric's gone. Voldemort's back. And no one wants to believe it. Except us. We were there when the stone chessboard came alive. When the basilisk hissed through the pipes. When the truth got buried and the danger crept in through the cracks. We believe him. Because we've always believed him. And now we're the only ones who do. June 26, 1995. I've never felt so helpless. Harry's walking around like a ghost. Not the spooky, floating, see-through kind, worse. He's quiet. doesn't look anyone in the eye, doesn't eat, just exists. Barely. I've seen him bruised and battered. Seen him knocked flat by bludgers, nearly drowned by grindylows, cursed, nearly expelled. But this? This is different. This is the kind of hurt that doesn't show. The kind that just sits inside you, heavy and cold, and you can't shake it off no matter how hard you try. I want to say something. Anything. But I don't know what. He sits in the common room and stares at the fire like he's trying to burn away the memory. But I know it's still there. The graveyard. Cedric. Voldemort. That scream. We all heard it. That first second when he came back with Cedric's body. That sound he made. It wasn't just crying. It was something ripped out of him. I can't stop hearing it. No one really knows what to do. The rest of the school's gone quiet. Not in the usual, end of year, exams are over way. This is heavier. Like the castle itself is waiting for bad news to walk through the door. Hermione's trying. She's talking more than ever. Making lists. Whispering theories. Saying things like, the International Confederation of Wizards must act soon, and maybe there's a way to get the Prophet to report the truth. She's throwing words at the silence, hoping they'll fix something. I think it's the only way she can cope. I don't blame her. Me, I just sit there. I tried once. Yesterday. Harry was in the dorm, sitting on his bed, staring at his trunk like he forgot how to pack. I went in, shut the door, sat on my bed opposite his, and said, "Do you want help?" He blinked. Didn't answer. Then I said, "I'm glad you made it back." Still nothing. But I saw the way his jaw twitched. Like he was holding something back. Words, maybe. Or tears. So I just sat there. Quiet. Not pushing. Not asking. Eventually, I picked up one of his socks off the floor and chucked it at him. "Your side's disgusting," I said. He looked at me, really looked at me, and almost smiled. That's all I needed. I know he doesn't want to talk about it. And I'm not going to make him. If he wants silence, I'll sit with him in silence. If he wants to break stuff, I'll help. If he wants to shout, I'll shout louder. Whatever he needs. That's what best mates do. Cedric's funeral is soon. They're not letting students go. Too upsetting, they said. Like we haven't been upset for weeks already. Fred and George have gone weirdly quiet too. No pranks. No fireworks. No singing teacups. Just whispered conversations in corners. Percy's been acting like everything's normal, probably on fudge orders. Pretending Cedric's death was a tragic accident. It makes me sick. Harry knows the truth. We know the truth. Voldemort is back. Cedric was murdered. And the Ministry's doing nothing. We're just kids. Fourth years. We shouldn't be the ones worrying about this. But here we are. Watching the grown-ups argue while the world changes around us. I don't know what's going to happen next. But I do know this. I'm not leaving Harry alone. Not again. Not ever. June 30th, 1995. We're on the Hogwarts Express, heading home. But it doesn't feel like an ending. Not like it usually does. Normally, this ride is full of noise. People stuffing their faces with cauldron cakes. Swapping chocolate frog cards. Playing exploding Snap. Talking about summer plans or laughing at the weird things teachers did that year. This time, it's quiet. Not completely silent, there's still the rumble of the train, the occasional laugh from someone trying to act normal, but it's different. Everyone's tired. Not just end-of-term tired. Exhausted. Harry hasn't said much since we boarded. He's sitting across from me, forehead against the window, watching the countryside blur past. I don't think he's even seeing it. Just staring through it. Hermione's reading a Daily Prophet, frowning at every word. It's not saying anything about Voldemort. Nothing about Cedric. Just some stupid article about magical gardening accidents and the price of powdered unicorn horn. Like nothing happened. Like Harry didn't watch someone die. She folded it up and shoved it into her bag with more force than necessary. I offered Harry a licorice wand from the trolley. He shook his head. It's weird how quiet he's been. Normally I can't get him to shut up about Quidditch or weird dreams or the time Snape's potion exploded. But now it's like part of him stayed in that graveyard. The part that laughs. The part that talks about nothing for hours. I want to tell him it's going to be okay. That we'll get through it. That Dumbledore will fix things. That Fudge will wake up and realize what an idiot he's being. But I don't believe that. Not anymore. Not when I saw the look on Harry's face. Not when I saw the way Dumbledore's hand shook. Not when I saw Cedric's dad fall to his knees beside his son. None of this is okay. Fred and George came by earlier. Gave Harry some of their new sweets. Didn't say much. Just left them and walked on. Quietest I've ever seen them. It meant more than words, honestly. Neville stopped by, too. Said good job, mate, like he didn't know what else to say. I get it. None of us know what to say. How do you talk about this kind of thing? How do you ask someone what it's like to see death and walk away? You don't. You just sit with them. I keep thinking about next year. What's it going to be like? How are we supposed to come back like everything's normal? Voldemort's out there. Gathering followers. Planning who knows what. And Harry, he's in the middle of it. He always is. But he's not alone. Hermione and we're not leaving him. Doesn't matter what the ministry says. Doesn't matter how much people want to look away. We know the truth. And we're not going to forget it. July 1st, 1995. Back at the Burrow now. Mum cried the second she saw us step out of the fireplace. Pulled Harry into the tightest hug like she could squeeze the pain out of him. He didn't resist. Just stood there with his arms by his sides, face buried in her shoulder like he didn't know what else to do. She did the same to me. I didn't cry, but I almost did. There's something about being home that makes your chest feel heavy. Like you've been holding everything in and now it wants to come out all at once. The house smells like cinnamon and broom polish. Dad's been quiet, but his eyes keep flicking to the window every time there's an owl. Like he's expecting something. Bad news, maybe. Fudge still hasn't admitted anything. He's been calling Cedric's death a tragic accident in every paper. Refuses to say Voldemort's name. Harry's staying in my room. I gave him the bed closest to the window. He hasn't unpacked. Just sort of sits there. Sometimes he reads. Sometimes he stares out at the orchard. Fred and George tried to get him to come outside and help them with some new joke prototype. He said maybe later. Later hasn't come. Hermione wrote us already. Said she's safe, but worried. Her parents don't know anything. She wants to write to the prophet. I don't think it'll help. Not when no one wants to hear the truth. I keep waiting for things to feel normal. But they don't. Even Ginny's quiet. She's always had this way of filling the house with noise, laughing, running up the stairs, arguing with the twins. But today, she just passed Harry a plate of toast and didn't say a word. We all feel it. The change. This house used to be loud, bright, warm in that safe kind of way. Now it feels like we've all taken a deep breath and we're still holding it. I'm scared. I'll admit it. Not of Voldemort exactly, though, yeah, him too. But more of what comes next. What does it mean now that he's back? What's going to happen to all of us? I don't think Hogwarts will ever feel the same. I keep thinking about Cedric. About how kind he was. About how he was just there, standing next to Harry, excited to win, and then he wasn't. Gone. Just like that. If it can happen to him, it can happen to anyone. Even me. Even Harry. Mum keeps saying, "You're safe now. You're home." But I don't believe that anymore. The world doesn't feel safe. And it definitely doesn't feel like home. July 5th, 1995. They're still pretending it didn't happen. The ministry. The papers. Even some of the parents. It's like they've all decided to believe a different version of the story, one where Harry's confused, Cedric just tripped over something, and everything is completely fine. It's not fine. We were there. We saw Harry come back with Cedric's body. We saw Dumbledore rush down the stands. We saw the look on Harry's face. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't drama. It was truth. He didn't imagine Voldemort. He didn't make it up. He lived it. And we're the ones who have to carry that now, because no one wants to listen. It's maddening. Dad believes us, at least. He didn't say much, but I caught him and Mum talking late last night. They thought I was asleep. He said, "It's begun." That's all. Just that. But the way he said it, low, serious, like he was swallowing the words, it made my stomach twist. Mum still flinches when she sees Harry. Not because she doesn't care. She cares too much. But I think seeing him is a reminder of what's coming, of what he's already survived. Fred and George have stopped joking about the tournament. They're still making things, but it's quieter now. Focused. Like they're preparing for something even they don't fully understand. Hermione sent another owl. She wrote a whole paragraph just about Cedric. Said she couldn't stop thinking about his parents. About the way he smiled in the common room before the ball. About the way he helped that second year in charms once without anyone asking. He was a good person. And now he's gone. We all saw it. And pretending we didn't is like letting it happen again. Harry hasn't said much since he told us what happened in the graveyard. I think saying it out loud took something out of him. He still has nightmares. I hear him sometimes, twisting in the sheets, mumbling Cedric's name. Or Voldemort's. I don't know what to do. I keep sitting near him. Not talking, just being there. I think that's all I can do. I want to believe Dumbledore's got a plan. That someone, anyone, is going to stand up and say the truth. But right now, it's just us. Us and what we saw. And we won't forget. July 20th, 1995. This'll be my last one. I was going to stop earlier. Thought maybe I didn't want to remember this year at all, not the tournament, not the ball, not Cedric, not the graveyard. But now I think I have to. Not for anyone else. Just for me. Because this year changed everything. It used to be a game. All of it. School, magic, sneaking around with Harry and Hermione. Even the scary bits, Fluffy, the spiders, the chamber, they felt like stories we got to walk out of. Like we were just lucky kids in a wild world who always made it through somehow. But not this time. Cedric didn't make it through. And Voldemort's back. That's not a story. That's real. And I don't know how to deal with it. I've been lying awake every night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about how close it all came. How close Harry came to not coming back. How close the world came to changing without anyone noticing. But we noticed. I did. And I think, for the first time, I understand what Mum and Dad have been scared of all these years. Why they keep saying, back when things were bad. Because things are bad now. And they're only going to get worse. And I'm scared. I'm really, properly scared. Not just for Harry, though of course for him. Always. But for Hermione. For my family. For all the people who don't believe yet. The ones who are pretending they're safe because it's easier. I used to wish I was the famous one. Used to think maybe if I did something big, I'd finally matter. But now? I'm glad I'm not the one with the scar. I'm glad I don't have to carry that weight. Still, I'll carry whatever part of it I can. For Harry. For all of us. Because this fight, it's not just his anymore. We're in it now. All of us. I don't know what's coming next. But I know I won't run. Harry's my best mate. Hermione's my family too. And whatever happens, war, Death Eaters, Ministry lies, all of it, we'll face it together. We're not kids anymore. Not really. And maybe the world's different now. But so are we. And that's it. Ron Weasley's 4th year at Hogwarts, told like never before. From the awe of the Quidditch World Cup, to the fear of the Dark Mark, to the heartbreak and horror of Cedric's death and Voldemort's return, we've walked step by step through the year that changed everything, not just for Harry, but for Ron, too. If you've made it this far and loved every moment of Ron's sarcasm, awkwardness, and honest emotion, then you need to check out years 1, 2, and 3 in the Diary series. Seriously, from trolls in the dungeon to secret chambers to escaped prisoners, those early years are packed with just as much chaos, comedy, and character growth. And this is just one chapter in a much bigger project. I've got a whole series of Harry Potter diaries, not just Ron's, and way more magical deep dives, character stories, and Wizarding World lore that you won't want to miss. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Join the adventure, leave a comment with your favorite moment from year 4, and share this with your fellow Potterheads. Thanks for watching. And remember, the magic hits different when you read between the lines.
You think you understand. You think you've seen the truth because you followed the boy with dirt on his nose and a wand in his hand. You sat beside him at the common room fire. You read the scribbled thoughts of that red-haired sidekick and laughed when he stumbled through his 4th year. It was warm, wasn't it? Easy. All the right names in all the right houses. Heroes in gold, villains in green. The world divided neatly between Gryffindor and the rest. I suppose that's the story you were told. You watched the tournament. You saw the dragons, the lake, the maze. You heard what the boy said when he returned. He's back. You believed him, or maybe you didn't. But you believed them. Bitch, the redhead, the girl, the charming little trio, caught in something far too large for them. And yet, none of them ever told you what I saw. None of them ever told you how deep the rot goes, or who let it fester, or what had to be done in the dark so they could chase glory in the light. You sat through 30 minutes of Gryffindor tears and teenage rambling, And you think you've heard the real story. You haven't. Ronald Weasley's diary is nothing more than a pile of nervous laughter and adolescent jealousy. A boy writing in crayon, convinced he's the center of a world he barely understands. Charming, yes, harmless, but fiction. The kind of story the world likes. Loud, clumsy, red-haired, and noble. The truth does not wear Leon's face. Bite in silence, in shadow, in the margins of books no one reads. It is not loud, it is not loved, but it is real. I've watched this world bend itself into a shape that flatters the brave and erases the rest. I've watched children idolize the wrong names. You think bravery is charging into fire with no plan. I think bravery is doing what must be done, while they spit at your back and whisper your name like a curse. You call them heroes because you don't know any better. You want the easy story. Beer. The one with villains in black cloaks and heroes in gold robes and wands that never tremble. But if you're still here, if you're still listening, then maybe you're ready for something else. I'll give you the truth. Not the kind that fits in a school book, the kind that leaves a mark. But first, forget what you think you know. Forget the boy. Forget the prophecy. Forget the redhead and his quill. This story starts elsewhere, in a different house, in a quieter corner, where the ink is darker and the pages are sharp. This is not a confession. This is a reckoning. And I am not a memory. I am the half-blood prince, and a boy who lived. He is not his father. You think I say that with relief or pity. I don't. I say it because it is true, utterly, painfully, terribly true. He does not walk like James. He does not speak like him. He does not carry himself like he owns every room he steps into. Please. He flinches when eyes are on him. He shrinks from praise. He doubts everything, especially himself. And yet he has his father's face, every line of it, by the same hair, the same wretched glasses, the same careless mess of it all. That alone would be enough to make me look away. But then there are the eyes. Her eye. He looks at me, and I remember everything I lost, everything I ruined, everything I begged to undo. I see the green, and it feels like a blade pressed under my ribs. He does not know what it means. He never will. That is the mercy. That is the punishment. P, who walks the halls of a school built to bury him, beteach him spells, potions, history. They do not teach him why he must learn them. They do not tell him that he is a symbol, a tool, a line in a prophecy that no child should ever be asked to fulfill. Purves sent him into that tournament knowing he would not be chosen. Then they let him compete anyway. They say it was bound by magic, but I know better. Nothing in that castle moves unless someone allows it. Nothing breaks unless someone looks the other way. He faced a dragon. He faced the lake. He faced the maze. But worse than any of that, He faced the truth, and he came back with death in his hands. I watched him when he returned, mud on his robes, blood on his fingers, holding the Diggory boy like a brother, and still they doubted him. Still they whispered. They said he was lying. They always do, because the truth is ugly. Because it does not bow, because it comes from someone they fear, someone who does not smile for the papers or pose for statues. Someone like me. He is not a hero. He is a boy who has seen too much. And he does not even know the worst of it yet. He will. They will tell him one day what he must do, what he must give. He will look at them. He will ask why, and they will not answer. They will look to me, because I am the one who keeps him alive. I am the one who has watched him, shielded him, guided him without praise or thanks. He does not know this. He cannot know. 'Cause to protect him is not to be kind. It is to be invisible. To protect him is to stand in the places no one else dares to stand, to carry the burden he never asked for. I do not do it for him. I do it for her. Always for her. That is the beginning and the end of it. He is not his father, and that is why he still lives. The girl with the green eyes. She said my name once. Just once, and smiled when she did, and I remember it better than anything I've ever learned in any book. Lily Evans. She was brilliant, not in the way people are usually called brilliant, not loud, not desperate to be seen. She just was. She understood things without needing to say them. She looked at people and saw past their noise. And for some reason, for a while, she looked at me. We met on the train. She sat in a compartment full of strangers and asked me about my wand. I told her it was second-hand. She said hers was too. I think that was the first time someone made me feel like that wasn't shameful. Prayer, she wore Gryffindor robes. I wore Slytherin green. That was the beginning of the end. She told me not to hang around with them, with the ones who whispered in the dark, who liked to talk about blood and power and who belonged where. She told me they were poison. I told her she didn't understand. She understood better than I ever did. I wanted to be great. I wanted to matter. I was half a wizard, half a mistake, and I thought power could fix that. I thought if I became powerful enough, the world would stop looking down at me. I thought she would see me differently, but every spell I mastered only pushed her further away. There was a moment, one moment I called her a name. I didn't mean it, not really. It slipped out like poison you forgot you swallowed. But she heard it, and everything in her changed. She looked at me like I was someone else, and then she never looked at me again. I tried to explain. I wrote. I waited. But the silence stayed. It stretched across years, across corridors, across houses, across war. I watched her fall in love with someone I hated, someone who had humiliated me, someone who never earned her. I told myself he tricked her. Boo-hoo. That she didn't know what he was, But that was a lie. She knew. She chose him anyway. She saw what I wouldn't admit, bet that I had become the thing she warned me about. I thought I hated her for it, but I never did. I loved her. I still do. I see her every time the boy speaks. Every time he stands up when he should run. Every time he doubts himself, but keeps going. She is in him, not just in his eyes, but in the parts of him that fight for others, that bleed for strangers, that forgive. I see her, and I remember who I was, and who I became. There are days when I think she might have forgiven me if I had tried sooner, if I had not waited until it was too late. But there are no time turners for that kind of mistake. There are no spells for regret. There is only memory and silence. And the promise I made to a man I did not trust, to protect a boy I did not want, for a woman I could never have. She never said my name again, but I say hers. Every time I keep him safe, every time I lie, every time I bleed. Her name is the last honest thing in me. The shadow of the Dark Lord. I joined him because I was angry, not because I believed. Not at first. I was 17, brilliant, bitter, tired of being laughed at, tired of being small. I wanted power. I wanted control. I wanted the world to stop stepping over my name like it didn't matter. He offered all of it. Glory, respect, fear, a place where the clever were not dismissed, where blood and lineage meant less than loyalty and ability, or so I thought. At first, I listened. Then, I obeyed. Then, I followed. That is how it happens. Pitch, you tell yourself you're not like the others, that you're not cruel, that you're there to gather knowledge. Bet you're smarter than the monsters in the room. You convince yourself that your darkness is different. But darkness is darkness. And once you kneel, once you let him mark you, you do not stand again, unchanged. He does not shout, he does not plead. He whispers, Piuf, Haufers, he waits. Pran, and you say, yes. Thinking you will find a way out before it gets too deep. You won't. I told myself I could watch from the inside. That I could learn more with them than against them. That I was a spy before I ever crossed the line. Another lie. I was one of them. For a time. I said the words. I wore the robes. I watched things I can never describe. Things that do not fade. I told myself it was fine as long as I didn't cast the spell myself, as long as I stood at the edge. But there is no edge, there is only the drop. And then I heard the prophecy. Pi was the one who carried it to him. I didn't know what it meant. Not then. Just a whisper overheard, a scrap of truth taken to earn favor, to rise, to be noticed. But it was enough. He chose a target. He chose a child. And I saw the name. I saw her name, and I broke. It took me too long to crawl to Dumbledore, too long to say the words. But I said them. I begged, not for the boy, for her. I told him she must be spared. He said she could not be. The Dark Lord does not spare. And Dumbledore. He said she could not be separated from the others, that she would die with them if Voldemort chose to kill the family. I remember standing in his office, the cold in my chest, my throat closing. I had spent years becoming the very thing she feared, and I had killed her. I think part of me died that night, not the part that mattered, the part that could be forgiven. He is the Dark Lord because he does not care who dies for his cause, because he believes fear is the only currency that lasts, because he thinks love is weakness. He was wrong. Love is the only reason I am still alive. The only reason I did not fall completely, but I did fall. And I carry that every day. Die. All of them. Just as he said they would. James Potter, Lily Evans, and the child. Or so he believed. I remember the moment I heard I was not with them. I had not been given that honor. I was still a pawn then. Trusted, but not vital. He did not need many to kill a family. Just himself and a wand. But he failed. And I felt it that night. Something shifted. A silence. It was as if every wall that held up everything I believed in had cracked all at once. And in the silence, I saw what I had done, what I had asked for. What I had helped him reach. She was gone, and the boy lived. Dumbledore called me to his office again. The same room, the same eyes. But the man I met there was not the same. He looked at me like he had already buried me, like he had already decided what I would become. I did not ask him for forgiveness. I asked him for a task. He gave me one. He said, if you truly loved her, then you will protect the boy she died for. I told him I would buy, told him I would do anything, and he believed me. He asked me to become something else, not a spy, not a warrior, something colder, something quieter, a shadow among shadows, a liar with no end, a man who would build his life around a promise no one else could know. He said, I would not be thanked, not be trusted, not be loved. And I said yes, because I had already lost everything. There are things the Order never understood, things even he, the boy, may never understand. I did not switch sides. I did not suddenly become good. I became necessary. There is a difference. Every lie I told was for the war. Every spell I taught was for survival. Every glare, every silence, every punishment, all of it, to shape the boy, to protect the truth, to keep the others from seeing what I was really doing, because that is what the Dark Lord never saw, what even Dumbledore only began to understand. I was never loyal to either of them. I was loyal to her, to the memory of her voice, to the echo of her laugh in the corners of my mind. And that loyalty is what turned to me, not honor, not justice, not love, just the unbearable, endless ache of loss, power, and the knowledge that I caused it. You have listened longer than most. That alone makes you dangerous. You stayed through the noise. You waited through the stories. You heard the diary and the laughter and the heartbreak and the triumph. You sat through the Gryffindor drama, the tears, the glory, the simple version. But you did not leave, which means you were looking for something else. Something harder to hear, something older, something buried. And now you have it. You have heard what was never meant to be told, the thoughts of a man who was never a hero, who will never be carved into stained glass or sung about in corridors. A man who made the wrong choice too early and the right choice too late. You think this ends here. You are wrong. I am not finished. The war is not finished. And neither is the boy. He still walks through that castle, still breathes, still speaks, still breaks. He still carries the burden. None of you see. And I still carry mine. Dumbledore gave me a task. That task is not yet done. You think he is kind. You are wrong. He is not cruel. He is not warm. He is not soft. He is steel wrapped in velvet. He is the blade that smiles. He does not beg. He does not hope. He instructs. And you obey, or you leave. I did not leave. Because I made a promise, and I do not break promises. Not the ones that matter. The boy does not know the truth. He thinks he is fighting for justice, for revenge, for the light, but he is not. He is fighting because others placed the weight on his back and never taught him how to carry it. They praise him for surviving. They do not understand what it costs. But I do, because I survived the same way. Quietly, alone, while the others sleep. You think the worst thing I've done is still ahead. Pew. You may be right, but you do not understand why I will do it. You do not understand what I will lose, what I will give, not for glory, not for thanks, for her. For the memory of green eyes and quiet laughter and a kindness I did not deserve. I remember the sound of her voice when she said my name, and I remember the silence when she stopped. That silence still echoed. I've spent years inside that silence, teaching, watching, pretending. Every word I speak is measured. Every movement is chosen. I cannot afford mistakes. I cannot afford emotion, because everything rests on a lie I chose to carry. And I will carry it to the end. Order does not trust me. The Death Eaters would slit my throat if they knew the truth. The students fear me. The boy hates me, and yet I remain, because I must, because someone has to. I do not ask you to admire me. I do not ask you to forgive me. I ask only that you remember. Remember what was done when the brave ones looked away. Remember who stayed when the noble ran. Remember that the war was not won by wand work alone. There are victories bought with silence. There are lives saved in shadows, and there are names you will never see etched in stone. But you know mine now, not the one they called in school. Not the one he feared, the one I chose, the one I wrote into the corners of the books they threw away. I am the boy who loved her. I am the man who lost her. I am the one who protects what remains of her. I am the Half-Blood Prince, and I am still watching.